Welcome back to Dinar for Veterans, the channel built by patriots, for patriots, the men and women who served this nation and who have been holding the line on one of the most consequential financial opportunities in modern history. Today's broadcast is one we have been working toward for a very long time. And if you are a veteran, an active duty service member, a military family, or simply someone who believes in the promise of the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong, then you need to give the next 10 minutes your complete and undivided attention. Because the information coming in right now is unlike anything we have seen in this community, and every single detail matters to your financial future. Let's set the stage clearly and honestly, because that is what this channel is built on. The global conversation around the Iraqi dinar has intensified dramatically in recent days, and the signals coming from financial institutions, international regulatory bodies, and currency markets are pointing in a direction that every dinar holder needs to understand. We are not here to hype empty promises. We are here to break down what is actually happening, why it matters specifically to veterans and military families, and what steps you need to be taking right now to position yourself for what comes next. The Iraqi dinar has long been at the center of one of the most debated investment conversations in alternative financial circles. For years, mainstream media dismissed it. For years, the skeptics called it a fantasy. But the economic foundations being laid in Iraq over recent months tell a very different story, and those foundations are becoming impossible to ignore. Iraq is not the war-torn nation of 2 decades ago. It is an emerging economic powerhouse sitting atop one of the largest proven oil reserves on the planet, and its leadership has been executing a series of fiscal and monetary reforms that are drawing serious attention from the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, and major institutional investors around the globe. The Central Bank of Iraq has been methodically restructuring its monetary policy framework. The currency auction system, long criticized as a vehicle for corruption and capital flight, has been overhauled. New transparency protocols have been implemented. International compliance standards have been adopted. And the relationship between Iraq's banking sector and the global financial infrastructure has been quietly but decisively strengthened. These are not rumors. These are documented, verifiable policy shifts that represent the kind of institutional credibility that precedes significant currency revaluation events in economic history. Now here is why this matters so profoundly to veterans specifically. Many of the men and women watching this channel right now served in Iraq. You walked those streets. You understood firsthand the incredible resource wealth sitting beneath that soil. You saw a nation with extraordinary potential buried under decades of conflict and mismanagement. And when you came home and learned about the Iraqi dinar as an investment opportunity, it was not blind speculation for you. It was informed conviction rooted in real-world experience. That conviction deserves to be honored with accurate, serious, and actionable information. That is exactly what we are delivering today. Let us talk about what the most recent intelligence from the financial world is telling us about the dinar's trajectory. Reports coming from currency analysts and regional economic observers indicate that Iraq's foreign currency reserves have reached levels not seen in decades. The country has been executing oil contracts and infrastructure deals that are bringing in substantial hard currency flows, strengthening the central bank's ability to support a higher exchange rate. The reforms pushed through Iraq's parliament in recent sessions have included critical banking legislation that aligns Iraq more closely with international financial standards, a prerequisite for any meaningful integration into global currency markets. The State Bank of Vietnam has similarly been executing a series of reforms aimed at modernizing the dong's position in international trade. Vietnam has established itself as one of the fastest-growing manufacturing and technology export economies in all of Southeast Asia. Its role in the global supply chain for electronics, rare earth materials, and high-tech components has given its currency a foundation of real economic production. International investors have been paying closer attention to the dong as Vietnam's trade surpluses continue to grow and its regulatory environment becomes increasingly aligned with global standards. For those of you who have diversified your holdings to include both the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnamese dong, the convergence of these two economies' reform trajectories is significant. Both nations are moving, at different speeds and through different mechanisms, toward greater monetary credibility on the world stage. And as any serious student of economic history will tell you, Currency revaluation events do not happen overnight, but they also do not happen without a clear trail of preparation, reform, and institutional alignment. That trail exists, and it is clearly visible to anyone willing to look carefully at the data. Now let us address the broader geopolitical context, because it is inseparable from the currency conversation. The global financial order is undergoing a genuine transformation. The dominance of the dollar as the singular anchor of international trade and reserves is being challenged in a way that is unprecedented in the post-Bretton Woods era. Nations across the Middle East and Southeast Asia are actively working to expand trade settlement options, explore commodity-backed monetary frameworks, and reduce their dependence on any single reserve currency. Iraq and Vietnam are both part of that broader shift, and their currencies' long-term value prospects are directly connected to that realignment. For veterans who have watched geopolitical chess being played across the regions where they served, this is a familiar pattern. When the political and economic winds shift in a region, opportunity opens up for those who positioned themselves early and stayed informed. The dinar holders in this community, who have maintained their position through years of uncertainty, did so because they understood that patience is not passive, it is a strategy. And the geopolitical conditions developing right now are validating that strategy in real and measurable ways. We also want to address the role of technology in the evolving currency landscape, because it is directly relevant to how any future exchange or revaluation event would be executed. The advancement of real-time payment settlement systems, digital verification frameworks, and secure interbank communication protocols has fundamentally changed what is possible in terms of coordinating large-scale currency transactions across international borders. The infrastructure that would be needed to support a significant revaluation and redemption process is more mature and more capable today than at any previous point in history. That does not guarantee a specific timeline, but it does mean that the logistical barriers that once made such events nearly impossible to execute cleanly have been substantially reduced. For the veterans in this audience who may be planning around a potential exchange event, here is the practical guidance that matters most right now. First and most importantly, ensure that your documentation is complete and organized. This means knowing exactly how many notes you hold, their denominations, their provenance, and having legitimate records of how they were acquired. Any significant currency exchange will involve compliance with anti-money laundering regulations and know your customer requirements. Being prepared means you will not be scrambling when the moment arrives. Second, think carefully about your financial advisory team. A significant influx of wealth, regardless of how it comes, requires professional guidance from advisors who understand tax implications, wealth preservation strategies, and long-term investment allocation. Veterans especially need advisors who understand the unique financial and benefits landscape that comes with military service and how new wealth intersects with VA benefits, pension structures, and other service-related financial considerations. Do not wait until after an exchange event to begin building those relationships. Start those conversations now. Third, stay grounded in what is verifiable. This community has always had a tension between genuine optimism and speculation that crosses into wishful thinking. The most powerful position you can hold as a dinar investor right now is one of informed confidence rather than emotional expectation. Follow the actual economic data coming out of Iraq and Vietnam. Watch the Central Bank of Iraq's policy announcements. Monitor Iraq's oil revenue reports and international investment agreements. These are the leading indicators that matter, and they are more reliable than any social media rumor or anonymous insider claim. The humanitarian dimension of this conversation is one that resonates especially deeply in a community of veterans. Iraq is a nation that American service members paid an enormous price to help stabilize. The economic development of Iraq, the strengthening of its institutions, the growth of its currency's global standing, these are outcomes that carry moral weight for those who served there. A prosperous and financially stable Iraq is a more peaceful Iraq, a more regional influence Iraq, and ultimately an Iraq that vindicates the sacrifices made by those who served. When we talk about the dinar appreciating in value, we are also talking about the broader success of a nation that American veterans have a profound personal connection to. Vietnam carries a different but equally significant historical weight for the veteran community. Decades after the conflict that defined a generation of American servicemen and servicewomen, Vietnam has emerged as one of the most dynamic economies in Asia. That transformation is remarkable, and it reflects the kind of national resilience that veterans instinctively recognize and respect. Holding the Vietnamese dong as part of an investment portfolio is, in its own way, a recognition of that transformation, and a bet on the continuing strength of a nation that has proven its capacity for extraordinary renewal. As we look at the current environment from every angle available, the overall picture for dinar and dong holders is one of cautious, informed optimism. The fundamentals supporting both currencies are stronger than they have been in years. The international institutional frameworks that would facilitate a revaluation and exchange event are more developed and more capable than at any previous point. The geopolitical trends are moving in a direction that benefits commodity-backed and production-backed currencies. And the community of informed holders, many of them veterans and military families who have done their research and stayed committed through the long wait, is better positioned than ever to act decisively when the moment of opportunity arrives. Here at Dinar for Veterans, our commitment to you is absolute. We will not sensationalize, we will not fabricate, we will not give you empty hype that disappears when the next broadcast begins. What we will give you is the most accurate, most current, most strategically valuable information available so that you can make decisions worthy of the discipline and dedication you brought to your service. You served with honor. You deserve information delivered with the same standard. In the days and weeks ahead, we will continue monitoring the Central Bank of Iraq's official communications, tracking Iraq's legislative developments and international trade agreements, watching the State Bank of Vietnam's policy movements, and bringing you expert analysis from people who understand both the financial mechanics and the geopolitical realities behind this investment. We will also be creating specific content around the financial planning steps that veterans need to take now, before any exchange event occurs, to protect and maximize whatever wealth this investment ultimately delivers. If this is your first time visiting the Dinar for Veterans channel, please subscribe and make sure your notifications are enabled, because the updates we are tracking move quickly and you do not want to miss a single one. If you are a long-time member of this community, thank you for your continued trust and your continued patience. Your patience is not weakness. It is the same quality that carried you through your service, and it is exactly what this moment in financial history requires. To every veteran watching right now, to every military spouse who has managed the household finances through deployments and uncertainty, to every service member who served in Iraq or Vietnam or anywhere else and came home believing that a better financial future was possible, this channel exists for you. The journey is not over. In many ways, the most important chapter is just beginning. Stay informed, stay prepared, stay connected to this community, and know that we will be right here with you every single step of the way. Thank you for watching Dinar for Veterans. Stay strong, stay informed, and we will see you in the next update.